The wide receivers look a little better. Romeo Dobbs had a nice game. Alan Lazard's out with this ankle injury, and Christian Watson was banged up in the game in the concussion protocol. So unclear if he's going to miss any time, but they've got the Lions on deck this week. So this is just a matchup that you definitely want to have some exposure to. Not that the Packers have looked that great, but if he's the only guy there, certainly feels like he could be streamable. Terrace Marshall, not a lot of good takeaways from this game. I mean, obviously DJ Moore was phenomenal, and he's looking like he can be fairly quarterback proof, which is great for people that drafted DJ Moore. Terrace Marshall, though, also had a pretty nice game, 4 catches on 9 targets for 87 yards. Currently the wide receiver 23, obviously his best performance of the year. I think he's going to see an uptick in targets because Christian McCaffrey's gone and DJ Moore can't carry all the water, so it certainly feels like Terrace Marshall could be the guy. I mean, he was an impressive prospect out of college. It's easy to sometimes forget when guys don't have a very strong first year, but he's a guy that I think could emerge. Josh Palmer and DeAndre Carter are definitely really, they should be pretty high on your priority. Keenan Allen's got this hamstring injury and he did nothing in week 7. Maybe he might be a little bit better coming off the bye, but he's unpredictable because he's just so injury prone and getting up there in age. And Mike Williams has an ankle sprain, so he could definitely miss some time there. So Josh Palmer could be the wide receiver 1 in the Chargers for now. And DeAndre Carter had a good game in week 7 heading into the bye. Garrett Wilson is someone that pops up on here a lot. It's like, I want him so badly to do well because he's just so talented, and it just makes me mad that obviously Zach Wilson had tanked his value. He did have a nice game, but I mean, oh my God, watching Zach Wilson is just like an absolute train wreck, Mike. It was terrible. So I don't know how much exposure you want to have in this offense. Obviously they've got the Bills and a bye and the Patriots next, so not as an attractive ad. But anyone on your list that you really like?
Well, yeah, I like Garrett Wilson because only better things can happen for him. I mean, it was good to see that he had production with Zach Wilson, but either one, the Jets might try to save their season by turning back to Joe Flacco at some point, or Zach Wilson might realize that he's competing against whoever the Jets might draft next year and needs to prove he can get the ball to the first round pick. So one way or another, I think getting the ball to Garrett Wilson has to be a top priority for this team in the second half of this season. I'm less confident in Romeo Doubs because, I think we've seen so much inconsistency out of him that he is absolutely the definition of a player that when you do finally start him, that's when he gets the 0 catches. And that was because of both Alan Lazard and Christian Watson being hurt in that game. I'm so fascinated to see if Green Bay tries to add a receiver at the trade deadline, but we've never seen Green Bay show any interest in investing in the wide receiver position. I also had Terrace Marshall on my list. I wouldn't have any real confidence in him to produce on a consistent basis, but I think he's going to get
stash
number 2 snaps on a consistent basis, which is a great sign for somebody who has the pedigree that he has. Yeah, there was a lot of talk about him being a first-round draft pick last year. And so we'd be talking about him in the same light if he hadn't kind of fallen under the radar. Josh Palmer might be my favorite one on this list. I can't believe he's only 25% rostered.
Well, with the bye, I think he got dropped a lot.
But exactly. And then people might forget about him because he didn't just have a big week. So that could be a sneaky, great pickup on the waiver wire. I forgot to mention Mecole Hardman when we were talking about how crowded it is in Kansas City. I don't know how you start through Kansas City. Darius Slayton is a little interesting. I've been touting Wan'Dale Robinson the last couple of weeks, so it's hard to tout Darius Slayton at the same time, but he's done it 3 out of the last 4 weeks now. So there's something they like about him there. And I see you have Paris Campbell and Alec Pierce on the list, but I think our worst fears kind of came true with Sam Ehlinger. That did not help their passing volume. So it's a little harder to trust those guys.